Okay, welcome everybody. We are here at our Sherlock's webinar number three. This is our mini user management zoom in, zoom out type webinar today. I'm just gonna do a little bit of a recap for you on the webinars that we have run to date. We started off with what is Sherlock's AI, and this was back in May 26. So AI-powered collaboration and workflow intelligence tool for modern operating teams. So under the bonnet of Sherlock's AI, there's a relational database platform designed and built to be supported by an AI interface. And this interface brings with it unlimited data storage, so no more row limits or column limits in a sheet. You can have your data stored properly. Intelligent workflow automation, which Darren is going to be explaining for us today. And then we've got real-time dashboards and operational analytics. Integration with existing business systems is still available, so you can integrate Sherlock's AI with your other platform tools, such as your CRM or maybe your finance accounting package or anything of that nature. We've got secure role-based permissions. Again, that's something we're going to have a little look at on today's webinar. And then we've got AI-powered documentation, extraction, and classification. So really, really in-depth document management portal within this platform. AI-generated summaries, insights, and reporting. And remember, this tool has been built for AI to support rather than having AI crowbarred into it. So our previous webinars, so we've done some zoom ins. We're halfway through our zoom in series. So our first zoom in was on tables and fields. And on that, we showed you how the tables were structured, linked relationally, and described the lack of limits. So the data storage capability within your table structure. And then we went even deeper and looked at the data types available within the columns of those tables. And that demonstrated the wide range and depth of those methods of identifying the data that you're storing. Importing from CSV was the last webinar we did, and this demonstrated how to use the import wizard to import data into your existing tables or new tables, as long as they're in that CSV format to begin with. That import wizard was making intelligent associations from your existing data and mapping it to the most appropriate data type available in Sherlock's AI, making that migration of data from existing platforms painless. So if you do have a need to migrate from Microsoft or to migrate from Smartsheet or Airtable or Monday, then we have this really easy way of getting your data over into this platform demonstrated by our latest webinar. All of those webinars have been recorded and the links are on our YouTube channel. Reach out to either Darren or myself and we can point you to them if you've missed them. But today, moving on to today, we've got Darren Mullen here from Sherlock's AI. He's going to be talking us through user management within Sherlock's. So user management, he's going to be looking at restricting data access to assigned users. So using role-based assignments to filter the data available to those users to see. And we're going to be using workflow permissions to control the editing properties of a column. And I'll leave it to Darren to describe all of that to you as part of the demonstration. So just before I hand over, don't forget you can access a free trial of Sherlock's AI to try all of these things out for yourself before any commitment is made. Again, just reach out to either the Sherlock's team or the Smarter Business Processes team, and we can point you in the direction of that free trial. So Darren, we're ready. Are you ready?
I am ready. I'm checking the chat here to see if there's any questions, but I don't see any yet. So must have been a very clear explanation that you gave. So thank you. Okay, I am sharing a screen of an interface. So if you've watched our other webinars, interfaces are how end users interact with Sherlock's, interact with the data, view data, update data, and so forth. Real quick, you'll remember this from our Sherlock's Holmes Day event that we planned out and showed, and how we have these metrics here that are calculating based on the number of seats filled at a specific table. The whole scenario here was that we were running a mystery dinner for Sherlock's Holmes Day, and it's very successful. So we've continued to plan more events, and we've opened it up to more venues, and I actually have contracts with some new caterers. So um, if you watched our previous webinar, we showed more about the linking that we've done with the venues and caterers to the events itself. Now, on this view here, we have a few pages, the seating chart page, which you're looking at. We have an event admin page that shows, schedules. We can choose different schedules, like this one was here. It's an embedded Gantt. And I could play with the settings and make this look a little nicer, make it wider. But I just have the default there. And then we have the event coordinator. And the event coordinator page is what we're going to focus on today. If you look here, you'll see I have a list of tasks called My Task. Now, these strictly in this view are not filtered to me because I'm logged in as a super admin, which we call the owner role in Sherlock's. And just so you know, you can have multiple owner roles in Sherlock's. It's not there's not one owner role. You can have several different users be owners, and the owner role gives you access to everything. Now, if you look at this, we have an assign to team column. I chose to do it with teams. We could do it by users as well, which let me just show you in the back end. That grid is pulling from the events plans, which is actually a project plan. I don't have a project plan loaded on this one, but I do have one loaded on the Vanishing Air. And if we scroll here, we should see there's the Gantt. I didn't adjust any of my dates. But in here, we have several columns actually 2 columns for assignees. We can assign to a user or we can assign to a team. Both would work the same way as far as permissions that you're going to see. But I chose to do it with teams because teams are a little more powerful because you can assign a team, and then as people come and go from a team, you just manage the team. You don't have to manage, any existing task or rows that they're assigned to. Okay, and going back to this interface. This grading of My Task is actually pointing to 2 different events that we've planned out in our little scenario. And because there's 2 events, it's showing all the tasks for all the events. However, I could use this filter and say, I only want to look at the original Sherlock Holmes Day mystery dinner, and everything changes. Gives me a snapshot of the status of the events there. If I change to the Vanishing Air, then those metrics we calculate. You can see some tasks are in progress and one is complete. On this view, I have a filter. I can filter. I can sort. So I have some interaction with this data. And even, let me say, even as a coordinator. So I have another user I've created that's in the event coordinators team. So I'm going to switch to that view, that window. I've logged in this window. And I don't have the event filtered, and the total task is 30. Let me go back to that original one here. I'll clear it. And the total task assigned here is 62, right? Because this is the owner account, so I'm seeing everything. So there's 62 tasks out there, but only 30 total are assigned to the event coordinators. And that's being done not by a filter on this grid, but it's being done through the permissions. I've set up the permissions such that event coordinators, anyone in the event coordinator team, only sees the task that they've been assigned to, or that team's been assigned to. And if I switch it to a different, or scope the events down to a specific event, then I see the event coordinators only have 15 assigned, and I can see the metrics. Okay. That's great. Now, what about interacting with this data. Um, we have this concept of a workflow in Sherlox.AI, and workflow is tied to permissions, and that lets you control record access, record editing by the actual status that a record's in. For our task, we have three statuses: not started, in progress, and complete. If a task like this is not started, as a coordinator, I can click the transition and it lets me move it to in progress. If it's in progress, I can click that event or that task and it'll move it to complete, or I can move it to complete. There we go. And our little metric should refresh there. There you go. Now, once the task is incomplete, I can't do anything. So the permissions don't let me, as a coordinator, change the status of a task that's complete. Let me switch over to the owner view. What is that? And I will filter this down to the vanishing error. I'm gonna just sort that by status. Okay. As a owner, I don't have a transition either because I didn't set it up. But what I meant to show you is the events. Switching gears here, the events have a workflow and a workflow status as well. They start out in pending date confirmation. And actually, let me switch to another view real quick if you don't mind. Make it a little easier to see this. This will help us see. We've got here. Hopefully you can see a little bit. But our initial status is a pending date confirmation. And then from there, a record can move to confirm the date. So we can say, yes, we've confirmed the date. And then it has to have the venue confirmed. Once the venue is confirmed, it can go to the catering. It's going to follow a very logical flow in our business logic. You first have to confirm, yes, we're going to have an event on this date. Then we have to choose the venue, make sure the venue is available. And if it is, that's great. Then we can confirm the caterer who's going to provide the food and the services. Once that caterer is confirmed, then the event can be confirmed. At all these states, you'll see they can be canceled. So there's also an alternate route of at any point in time, we could cancel the event for whatever reason, So we allow that. Now, it's set up in a way that only the event admins, can actually transition it to canceled. And in fact, only event admins can transition a record from pending date confirmation to a venue. So let me show that. On my event admin here, I can click transitions. I have two options. I can confirm the date or I can cancel it. If it's pending venue confirmation, I can click it. I can confirm the venue or I can cancel it. Here. Let me go to the coordinator view. If a record's in pending date confirmation, I go to click that transition. I don't have an option because I wasn't given the option. The date confirmation is an event admin task. So we've locked out the coordinator from being able to transition forward. We go to the venue confirmation. As a coordinator, I can confirm the venue, but I can't cancel it. And that's actually true of all these. The coordinators cannot cancel the event, only an admin can. And you'll also notice any canceled events are filtered out. That's actually done by permissions. I set the permissions that says coordinators cannot see canceled events because there's no reason for them to see them at that point, but event admins can. Yep. All right. Furthermore, leveraging that logic, I've set up a form that you can add an event. So as an event admin, I can come here and I can actually edit things if I wanted to. You know, to I could save that. Great. It's in that view. Let me go back to the coordinator. And if I choose something like event confirmed, I believe I locked it out where coordinator cannot edit that. Um, and it kind of shows that sure I could, but when I go to save it, and so I don't have permission to edit this record. I could go a step further and make those fields read only if for a better user experience. I would do that. I would lock those fields so I couldn't even edit them. But I wanted to at least show you the safeguards that are in place with permissions that says, no, you don't have permission to do that. However, if I go back to the event admin on that confirmed event, go edit, and I can change it, save it. And there it is. I was able to save it, not a problem. Okay. So any questions here? Any comments from you, Debbie? Or we're gonna check the chat if there's anything. Any questions there?
No, people are being very quiet in the chat, but I'm loving what I'm seeing. So
Okay.
basically, just to summarize for my own understanding,
Mhm.
you can have a status column that has a flow,
Mhm.
a sort of linear flow that your data can work its way through. For example, confirm the date, then confirm the venue, then confirm the caterer. That makes perfect logic for me. And and from each of those status points, you're really restricting the movement of that data. So you can't go and confirm the caterer before the date's done. You have to
Right.
go date, then venue, then caterer. And I think that's really powerful because solutions that I've built in the past in other platforms don't have that level of control. You
Mhm.
know, the drop downs are drop downs, and you have to, you know, do it properly, follow your process in your head, and there's nothing
Yep.
in the tool that's making you do things in a specific order.
Mhm.
So I really like that. And I love the fact that you can assign different people the rights on every step of that
Mhm.
status to edit or not edit. I think,
Right.
again, that's a really powerful tool because you don't want everybody being able to confirm the dates. The dates have got to be confirmed by top bod that's running the organization, running the event.
Yep.
Whereas the administrators of that event can confirm the venue or maybe confirm the caterers. And so, yeah, to have that level of user management, I think is really quite, well, very powerful. Not quite
Yep.
powerful. I think it's very powerful.
Yeah. And I want to say too that it's very powerful. But at the same time, if you have a very simple process that you don't need that level of control, um, you don't have to use, those permissions. You could have it open as well. So
Yeah, but the
yeah, so
choice
if you
is
have a
there.
exactly, exactly. And what I'm showing on the screen right here is our permissioning view for workflows. First of all, we assign roles. We have an event admin and an event coordinator, and then we bind it to, um, in this case, a team. We've bound the event coordinator role to the event coordinator's team and the event admin role to the event admin's team. However, uh, it doesn't have to be a team. Um, we could say for event coordinator, we could select a specific user if you wanted to do it by user. We already have the team. We could bind it to whoever the record creator is, which wouldn't necessarily make sense in this use case. Or you can bind it to a user field, right? That's the record. Um, you could say anyone assigned to this specific one, or you could bind it to a team field or um, a lookup formula fields, kind of like with the user or team field, but it's a pulling from another database or another table. An example of that would be, um, let's say you have an event, right? We have an events table, which we have. Let's see. We have a Sherlox events, and let's say we had an assigned coordinator. We want to assign a specific coordinator to that event. We could take that and pull it into the event plans through a lookup and say, all tasks are assigned to this event coordinator from that table. And that's what a lookup field would do.
Oh, very
Yep.
good.
Yep. And let's see, go back to our bindings. And then based on the roles and the bindings, we can then assign the permissions based on the status. So
Mm.
here are those roles down the left and above the top there are the statuses. And these are all custom statuses. You add or subtract statuses, these matrices will update. And it's pretty clear to understand that an event admin can do everything, can view everything, regardless of status. But event coordinator cannot see canceled events. And that's why on the interface, when I was showing the event coordinator view, I couldn't see any canceled events because I just said, look, if the event is canceled, event coordinators cannot even see it. And we go to edit records. You can see the permissions there. Event coordinator can only edit in the date, confirmation, pending, venue, and caterer. And that's why when I tried to edit it as an coordinator and the event confirmed status, I couldn't edit it. And event coordinators have no rights to delete events. Let's see. And one more thing, real quick, if you just take a quick little bit here. I wanted to show I had set this up on the event coordinator view. I said you could filter, this. So as the event coordinator, I could choose to say, if the status, for example, is let's say I only want to see my in progress task. I could do that and it would filter that. So this is a nice view, level of control that you can give a user. Each individual user can filter it to their needs and not have to affect anyone else either. And we could, of course, chain conditions together as needed. Yep.
Are we able to get the AI to help us
Oh,
create the bindings and the workflow permissions?
yes. In fact, I've done that several times. I didn't do it for this
No.
scenario. It was very simple. But if you describe what you're trying to build, it will create those roles. It will draw those transitions and everything for you. And then
Okay.
you can adjust it as needed. What I did do with AI that I actually wanted to show is I styled those widgets, right? These metric widgets here,
Hmm.
which kind of looks like AI styled it with the gradients and whatnot, but that's okay. I wanted to just demo that you can do it. We can adjust it as needed. But I said here in the chat, I said style these, um, and I of course I misspelled things on purpose so you can see that I typed it. Um, uh, and I told it to style these widgets based on the context, really, of what they are. And so it assigned different icons, like the complete has a check mark and it's green, and so it went through and did that. And I can continue the chat with it and say if I want to change it, or I could come in here um, and edit it too as well. So I'm not locked into only using what AI does. In fact, do that pretty often where I get a kind of a framework with the AI, gets it looking nice. I say, okay, I can take it from here.
Yeah, I think it's important to just point out that
Mhm.
we're looking through the back end of the platform and you're
Correct.
going quite deep into the settings.
Mm-hmm.
And if people find that a little overwhelming,
Mm-hmm.
then it's good to point out that, all you need to do is tell the AI what you're trying to achieve. It will do all the
Mm-hmm.
hard work and then you can go and tweak it
Yep,
to correct it. Or, well, you probably
exactly.
don't need to correct it, it'll probably get it right, but you can
Yep.
just tweak it as you're rules and requirements change. Alternatively, you can ask the Sherlock's team or the SPP team to handhold you and guide you through that setting up process as well. So there's lots of options here for people to set up their user management, their workflows, um, as they need. So, have you anything else to show us today, Darren, or are we at the end of our user management demo?
Nope. I'm fine with my demo.
Okay, so we do have the opportunity now to take questions and answers. So we'll just see if anyone would like to ask a question.
Should I ask a
Yeah.
question?
You may ask a question.
Okay. With what SBP does, you're a very skilled, um, consulting firm, and you see a lot of clients come through your door there that you work
Mhm.
with. Um, do you see a lot of need for this level of business process control? That's really what I like to think about it, using it for is really controlling business processes
Yeah.
to ensure that nothing gets short circuited, which happens a lot in
It,
solutions that I've built out in platforms where we put these statuses in place, but the platform can't enforce them. So everyone wants to short circuit it, and then document uploads get missed, certain steps get missed because someone advanced a task too far before allowing it to actually flow through the process.
Yeah. So what I was seeing today on your demonstration was sort of lit me up because it shows some process control that you don't necessarily get in some of the other
Mhm.
platforms that we support. So yes, I see a need for it, definitely, but I don't always have the platform to provide that level of solution. So I do think that people migrating into this platform from other incumbent platforms might be really excited by
Yep.
actually how much control you can have over that data. And it's not control for control's sake, it's control
Hmm.
for the validity of your data, the
Yep.
accurateness of your data. You know, the insights you'll get out of it will be far more meaningful than the insights that you'd get from a system that doesn't have that
Yep.
level of control. So, yeah, I'm very excited by it, and I hope our listeners and our watchers are as well.
Okay.
That's a great question. Um, we are continuing to one more webinar. So we came up with eight. We put dates against four of them. So we've had a go at tables and fields, importing from CSV. User management was this one today. Our next one is in 2 weeks' time, interfaces and widgets. And you saw quite a bit on the
Yep.
interface and the widgets today, actually, but
Yep.
Darren and
Hmm.
I will just go that little bit further and just explain some of the settings behind those, how to use the AI to build them, and also how to build them yourself if you are not wanting to use the AI just yet. So that's what we got lined up for next time. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining and for watching. And you're very welcome to stay on and ask questions once we finish recording, if that is how you prefer to work. Thank you ever so much. Thank you, Darren.
Yep. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
You're very welcome.